Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Bhajamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Mukti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om, Namaste. Welcome to our Drsya. We begin from the page 65. On the previous page, Swami Paramartananda makes the point that the teachings of the Drsya are basically over. And the following verse, they are more like a summary okay, of the teachings. But as we know, and they can be presented as an independent text, as he says, sometimes it is presented as another separate Vedantic text. But as we know, the summaries of Swami, everything is so spontaneous that always offer some different angle for us to enjoy the teachings. So therefore, we have decided to go through this portion of the Drsya that is omitted in some texts. Okay, so the verse 32, the author takes a new, unique, and creative approach. So he presents the Jiva as three Jivas, as we know. So what is the Jiva? The Jiva is the thought, I am, and I know that I am. Okay, so this Jiva is a mental, emotional, intellectual phenomenon of a sentient being with intelligent intellect that realize I exist, and I know that I exist, and I want to know why I'm here and what's the purpose of this existence. So this is the Jiva, and this Jiva, it appears in its full potential in the awakened state, as we know. So in the awakened state, now we have a certain Jiva that has all the potential to come down to the answer to this most fundamental question. So why do I exist? And what is the purpose of this existence I experience myself? And who am I? What am I? So this we have the Jiva presented in the awakened state. In the deep sleep, there is no Jiva because the I am is suppressed. Okay, there is no self-reflection, there is no the I am, aham does not show up in at least on the conscious level, although the scriptures say that it is there in potential form, but it's not there developed as a conscious thought, I am. But in the dream state, this aham appears as well. So the aham of the dream state does not serve much the purpose of development or growth or gaining of knowledge, okay? Because it's just the mental, emotional, intellectual material, held there in the subconscious mind that projects itself as if it would have its own light. It's an incredible projector that projects itself. Of course, we don't do that. Shwara does everything for us, as we know. That's why we have to be grateful. Some say that the dream state is as, if not more important than the deep sleep, because we need to release some of those tensions, which accumulate in the subconscious mind. So it presents three Jiva, but the amazing, the most intriguing and creative new approach is that it presents a Paramartika Jeeva. It presents Paramarta as a Jiva, okay? So we kind of say, man, what is this? I never heard about Paramartika Jeeva. Jiva is Jiva. We heard that Jivatma is Paramatma, but Jiva is Jiva. You cannot say Paramartika Jeeva, okay? No, he presents and he has a good argument there excellent logic, because he presents the Paramartika Jeeva as the Jiva who knows clearly that in its true nature, it is Paramartika. Yeah, it is Paramartika, Brahman, the self, consciousness, Satchitananda. So this is the Jiva, which is a Jiva who knows that the Jiva is not really a Jiva. Yeah? It's the Jiva who understood, oh my God, the Jiva, this reflected consciousness is but pure, limitless consciousness, appearing as a reflected consciousness and limited by all means, right? So we have three Jivas, the dream state Jiva, the awakened state Jiva, and the Jiva, of course, in the awakened state or beyond the three states, the Jiva in the awake state, holding the knowledge that Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Paramartika Jiva, I am that ultimate reality. So this is the bottom line. So one is original consciousness, and then we have two reflected consciousness, as we know. The original consciousness exists independently, is what is called here Paramartika Jeeva or Satyan, the only reality. It enjoys a free and independent existence, meaning to say it does not depend on the body of the Jiva, the Vishwa, the Jiva in the awakened state, and does not depend on the dreamer, the mind of the dreamer in the dream state. So it is free and independent of the both vehicles or reflecting medium, okay, that produce the Jiva. But this Paramartika is being original consciousness is the only reality without which those other two levels of reflect consciousness are but impossible, okay? So it does not depend on the reflecting mediums. It does not depends on the reflections, aham, okay? It's free and independent, but yet every time it appears as the reflected consciousness in the awakened state, it has the potential to understand that I am that Brahman, I am Paramartika, you understand? And then the Jiva who understands that the Jiva is not really a Jiva fundamentally is equal to Brahman, not that, it has all the knowledge of Ishvara too, not that it is just, okay, I'm superior to all the others because the Jiva with this knowledge knows that everything is but Brahman, everything is but consciousness. And then Swamiji makes another point that this original consciousness is independent. And after the destruction of the body-mind, of the body and the mind does not get destroyed, but the body-mind, okay, a body associated with a mind, which really constitutes the Jiva, in the awakened state, it gets destroyed from time to time. And the whole universe may go to deep sleep during the pralaya, but yet that original consciousness, this Paramartika, Jiva remains, or the Paramartika, it remains forever. No, it continues, never ends or stops to exist. But that consciousness is not available for transaction because the medium for its manifestation is not present. So, as we know, that is something a little bit more challenging for most people to accept. I am Brahman, and Brahman is available for transaction or for experience only through the mediums. I have discovered I am Brahman through this medium. Therefore, I became familiarized with this instrument of knowledge and experience. So a certain level of attachment is natural, is human, okay? But the knowledge gives us the understanding that I, Brahman, I do not depend on any medium for my existence, by my self-conscious existence. Not that I am conscious of anything other than myself, because I am one without a second, okay? So that consciousness without the reflecting medium is not available for transaction the same way that the electrical current that is not really visible or available in the absence of a bulb, for example, a fan on, or anything like that. So what is in there for us? If I lose my reflecting medium, so I'm not going to be I consciousness, I Brahman, I'm not going to be available for experience and transacting. So what's the big deal then? And then why I want self-knowledge? Okay, first, because whatsoever Paramartika karma left to be exhausted, I want to live it in the most beautiful, loving, grateful way possible, free from the illness, the sickness of samsara. Okay, keeping my mind clear, so being grateful, following the Dharma, and so on. So this is one thing. Second, because I got obsessed with the idea of knowing the reality of what am I. So it's a question of the love for the truth. So I have the love for the truth. I don't like suffering. I want to have peace and love. And then I'm done with my Paramartika karma. So why to be attached to be again associated to reflecting medium and instrument for experience? You understand? If I know that I am the original consciousness and I am absolutely free, I am beyond time, okay? And those are just reflection, pale reflections of what I am. And then I become an experience entity that experiences duality, but duality brings a lot of trouble. Right? Why? Otherwise, we would not love to go to deep sleep every day. We have to understand that. We love to go because we want to be away from duality. Okay? So why not to rest in the ocean of Brahman as Brahman? So this fear, but then I will not be back to be an experienced entity. It's going to go only with a thing through this passion into say no longer desire for experiencing duality, because there is nothing really much to it. Okay, it can be enjoyable, but for every joy there is a pain in the butt or a pain in the neck waiting for us. Huh? Reflect consciousness alone is experience. Like reflect life, Paramartika Jeeva is the meaning of the Jiva number one of the word I. When the Yen says I am Brahman, the I refers to original consciousness, depending on the context. So if the Yanni says, oh my God, I am so hungry, he's not referring to Brahman. He's referring to the body, the body is hungry. So we need to understand that the Yanni does not go about measuring its words to declare to everybody that, I am Brahman. No. So, but if the Yanni knows I am Brahman, there is a background of this knowledge, okay, that is not forgotten, which is not subject to forgetfulness, okay? The second Jiva is the same original consciousness reflect in the body-mind complex. Is the so-called Chitta-basana in the Panchadas. It is what we call life or sentiency that occurs in some construct, in some bodies, okay? Which is the localized consciousness. We know that consciousness is not localized in the body. Again and again, we have difficulties with the usage of words. It appears to be a localized consciousness. Everything is localized in consciousness, and consciousness shines the same way electricity shines when the bulb is on, when the bulb is not broken, and then it shines. Electricity is all the time running through the infrastructure of a building, but it requires a medium by which it shines with light. So this Chitta-basa is there, and consciousness is going to shine only on this medium called the Chitta-basa, reflected consciousness. The Chitta-basa obtains in the Vyavaharika. Look at, what is it? localized in the reflect medium it is this consciousness which is available for transaction, the reflected one. It is the reflect consciousness and not original consciousness that sense the sensations of the body mind. Okay, so the body mind is sensed, experienced through the medium original reflected consciousness, which is a combination of original consciousness plus reflecting medium plus reflected consciousness. We are a cocktail or a soup of these three principles, okay? A table does not have reflect consciousness, and we know why. The Chidabhatsa, only the living creatures, sentient beings, have this reflection. The Vyavaharika universe is experienced by the Vyavaharika Jeeva, of course. No, it's the physical material universe being experienced by the body, the physical body of the Jiva Atma. And that occurs in the waking state, okay? So the third Jiva we know is the Pratibasika, which is in the next paragraph, which happens in the mind, okay? And in the dream, when we have a waking state dream as well, as we know, we superimpose our mind on the Vyavaharika. When we interact with the world, we interpret the experience through our mind, our subjectivity, okay? But it's more clearly presented in the dream state, okay? So in the dream state, we experience through a certain power called Nidra Shakti is going to project the content of our vasanas, okay? So that happens in the dream state. So in a certain entity who experiences this projection is there. So this projection is the dream Chidabhasa or the Pratibasika Jiva or Pratibasika body-mind complex. This Jiva experience the project dream world. Okay. When the person wakes up, the Pratibasika Jiva, the body-mind, and the corresponding Jiva and the dream universe are resolved into the awaker and the awaking world. So it resolves from the dream, the Pratibasika Jiva, it resolves itself into the Vyavaharika Jiva. The dreamer resolves itself on the awaker when the dream is over and it shifts to become the awaker, okay? So it's just saying that things get resolved, but the awaker or the Vyavaharika Jiva that resolves in Pratibasika resolves into Paramartika Jeeva, it stops there. Paramartika does not resolve into anything else. So it is the end of the line, is the only reality, that which has no beyond, you understand? So everything resolves into Paramartika Jeeva, okay? In Paramartika, in Brahman. However, the Paramartika Jeeva never resolves. The Paramartika Jeeva is Advaitam, one not without a second. It's Advaitam Brahman, and it ever exists without ever changing. When we say does not change, it means it does not resolve into something else. There is no such a thing, and then Paramartika Jiva resolves into its causal body, resolves into the seed of, of Brahman, or the seeds of the Paramartika. No, there is no seed. There is nothing, it is a partless whole without three bodies or without cause. The causality does not play a role in reality, So that's a good point to be understood. So after claiming thus, I should learn to claim I am Paramartika Jiva. This I is Paramartika Jiva. This Jiva is Brahman. No? After claim thus, I can play the roles of the other two Jivas. So, and need not try to get rid of them. So we did not create those two Jivas. I have no power over my dreaming Jiva. My Pratibasika Jiva, Ishvara does the projection and does the experience of the Pratibasika Jiva. The Vyavaharika Jiva, I have certain power because within the Vyavaharika, I have my intellect at its full potential. And then there I can discriminate, you understand, and try to extract knowledge, wisdom through my daily experience. Especially if I analyze my experience in the light of the teachings of the Upanishads. So thus I can claim them. I'm claiming that I am this Brahman. And I cannot do anything. Ishvara is going to bring those two Jivas. And then in the awakened state Jiva, I have the power to do my best to establish this knowledge in my mind in regards to my true real nature. Only they understand that those Jivas are only roles is needed. So the inquirer needs to understand that both those two Jivas are just roles played, okay, apparent roles played in apparent reality. And then I know it's roles, it's not what I am. What do I am? What am I? I am what? I am Paramartika Jeeva. I am original, free, limitless consciousness. Okay, such a Jiva, such a Yani, if you play the roles holding this knowledge, never forget this knowledge, the roles will not create the sickness of samsara. Okay, so this is a good point because we cannot cancel the world and the two jivas and the roles we play, especially in the awakened state. So I need to know that those are just roles, meaning to say, okay, I'm forced to play my role in society unless I have a favorable karma that allows me to find a small cave in central USA at the mountains there near Lynn. And then I can just say, no, I give up my roles in society, okay? So like Ramana did. But in generally speaking, the roles are not going to affect us if we know that it's just a play. When we go to the theater to watch a movie, we know that it's a play. So we don't identify with the player and the scene and the play because we have this perspective that this is all just a projection. This is just a play. Nothing is really helping me, even if they go there and kill the good person, the how you say, my idol, the villain, the villain, and the, how you say?
The hero, I was going to say.
Yeah, even if they kill my hero there, you understand? I'm not affected because, it's all a projection. I'm not that hero. I have a sympathy for the player, for the character of the player, but it's okay. I got familiarized with this. I have watched all his movies, and so on. But we have been watching the movies through our entire life of this player called the Vyavaharika Jeeva. And yet we need to discriminate and developing detachment from it and see it objectively. That's the meaning of seeing your Jiva objectively. You know that it's just a role being played by you following the laws and principles designated by Ishvara, in a way that I live conflict-free to the best of my possibility life. So there is no samsara if I know that. And then what produces samsara? What produces samsara is to believe that I am the player. I am the one playing these roles. So we know that the Jiva Atma plays several roles, and each one of those roles are slightly different. We don't relate, we don't talk, we don't act with our children the same way we do with our mother and father we have different approach because it's a different role. Okay, so I'm a role. There are hundreds and thousands and millions of different roles that human beings play, and we need to know how to behave according to these roles. So all of these roles is just not what I am. Okay, there is no supreme role. There is no higher role. There is nothing that is what I am. So I am the witnessing conscious principle in which this Jiva, with all its roles, appear and plays to the best of its ability its roles, gaining knowledge, if possible, gaining wisdom. So it does not create samsara, because samsara is created when I am fully identified with that Jiva in the Vyavaharika, who wants what it wants at any cost or wants to avoid something at any cost, and then the impossibility of controlling the Dharma field, controlling our field of experience, is going to create samsara, because it's a setup to create suffering, to create this illness called samsara. You understand, Claudio? But if you know you are not the player, okay, there is no identification, then what happens with my likes and dislikes? Okay, they start just disintegrating. Okay, because look at it, my Jiva, trying to gain this or avoid that, and working so hard and getting all excited and agitate, and then you give a good laugh and say, "Come on, let it be." So let me just take over your role and assume, my position as Pratibasika Jiva, okay, the Jiva who is not really a Vyavaharika Jiva. Okay, so when the word I is used, which is this aham, this reflect consciousness, it could refer to one of these two Jivas, or could refer to the original consciousness. The original consciousness is the Pratibasika Jiva is the only absolute reality. The verse 33.
Didn't you mean to say the Paramartika?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Paramartika is the only absolute reality. Thank you, Lee. Limitation is illusory, but that which appears to be limited is real. Limitation is illusory, but that which appears to be limited is real. Okay, so the essential true nature of anything that feels to be limited is the reality, but it appears as an illusion. Most probably that's where he's going with this. The Jivahood of the self is due to the superimposition of the illusory attributes of the Jiva. The Jiva manifests as the Vyavaharika Jiva. But reality, really, it has the nature of Brahman. So the same concept. Okay, let's go directly from the unfoldment of this verse. This is the verse 33. Here the author talks about the nature of Paramartika Jeeva. The nature of Paramartika Jeeva is free, limitless consciousness. Okay, so it is said to be a Jiva because it is associated with the body mind, and the body mind has attributes, and the very attributes are going to limit this Paramartika Jiva. But this limitation, this illusion, this superimposition, when we look really attentively, is the mirror of consciousness, mirror of Brahman, in which this entity called the Pratibasika Jeeva is occurring. Pratibasika Jeeva is Paramartika Jeeva. That's the point here. The author talks about the nature of Paramartika, the consciousness enclosed within the body, apparently associated with the physical body. This enclosed consciousness is not really enclosed, it's a seeming enclosement. So it appears that consciousness is enclosed in the body of Claudio, limited by the peripheries, the borders of the body of Claudio. And therefore, Claudio is going to feel to be limited because he can be there, but he cannot be here with me. You understand? Because his consciousness seemingly appears to be enclosed in the body mind. So he's going to talk about the nature of free consciousness, not limited by time and space. But in reality, it's not limited. It is all pervading. As an example, the pot space is seemingly limited by the pot. This is a traditional analogy. We have the space within the pot and outside of the pot. The space is indivisible. What it means? It means that it permeates the walls of the pot as well. The space is not in the pot. It appears to be in the pot because of this seeming, container or walls that appear to limit the space. But as we know, space is there running through the walls of the pot, right? So space is the most pervasive element in the universe, and everything is contained in space. And there is no physical material object that somehow push space away from itself, because the space takes in everything. Consciousness takes in space and everything that space accommodates. So there is no question of the body enclosing consciousness, because consciousness is the background on which the body appears, okay? And it's there soaking. Sometimes I like this, it's soaking in consciousness. And so consciousness is not limited or enclosed in the body, but the body appears within the scope of consciousness. Similarly, consciousness is not in the body, but there is one indivisible, all-pervading consciousness in which all the bodies apparently exist. The body does not enclose or limit consciousness. Consciousness is of a higher nature or order of reality, and the body is of the lower order of reality. The unreal apparent body can never limit the real consciousness. The unreal body can never affect or limit the real consciousness. So we need to remember that consciousness, what I am, is the ultimate container in which all bodies, all creatures, all inert universe appear, and subtle universe appear and disappear. It's the only reality. The enclosure body is mithya, that which is not real but appears to exist like a mirage. A lower order of reality, but the enclosed consciousness is Satyam. That which appears to be enclosed is not enclosed, okay? Since the enclosure is not really there, is unreal, it can never limit the consciousness. Now it says, so the enclosement or the enclosure is not real, it's just a limitation in language. It's difficult to explain sometimes, but I'm trying my best to correct this language here. So the enclosure is not there at all. So the enclosure is unreal. Therefore, because there is no enclosure, there is no limitation for consciousness. Okay, it appears to be enclosed the same way space appears to be enclosed in a pot. Okay, or even the ocean. So you have something, a pot falls in the ocean, and you say, okay, the ocean now is enclosed in a pot. So it's not. So there is ocean and ocean all over the place, and there is a pot which appears within the ocean. Therefore, the limitation, this limit, the enclosure, this limit or limitation is a seeming limitation. So there is no limitation. So my human consciousness, the consciousness of Claudio, is not limited to his body, although it appears as if, but it's not. So if I lose this body, if Claudio dies tomorrow and loses his body, so how he's going to go about living his life and pursuing freedom and so on, okay? So he lost the medium by which it can continue this work. But if maybe the work is already completed and he's going to leave the body nicely and smoothly and elegantly and just say, thank you, Lord, okay? So all is good, and I don't need to come back, but I leave it up to you. So this is the best kind of passing away we may have. With that thought in mind, thank you, Lord. I have learned what I was meant to learn from these incarnations, and I don't need to come back, but I leave it to you because I know that you are the ultimate knowledge, intelligence. Limitation is falsely attributed to consciousness, which appears to be enclosed, which is real limitless, Brahman. It looks as though I am consciousness located in the body, but I am everywhere. So it's elaborating on this concept, this verse 33, the concept that again and again appears in our teachings, that the consciousness is not part, product, or property of matter, okay? It's free and independent, it's limitless, the body is there, the body of Claudio is there, but his true nature is spreading all over all universe and beyond the universe. But yet, without this body-mind, Claudio, as we know, Claudio cannot interact. He does not have the instrument by which he can transact. Okay, and then if this soul called Claudio still desires more transaction, he's gonna get another body. We don't need even to be worried about that. You understand? We get another body according to our merits. It's gonna be a better or worse body, and then we carry on our process, our individual journey. So what is this? He goes back to verse 33 again. Okay. Let me read it because it recaps again original consciousness, Pratibasika Jeeva, and so on. There is no duality, but only Jiva and deep sleep, both the Vyavaharika are resolved. I think it is repeated twice. Well, Yanni says, I am Brahman. Okay. So let's move to the word. I don't understand what happened here because this paragraph seems to repeat itself on mine, or not. Anyhow, it's the same concept. Let's go for the 34. Such Vedic statements as that thou art, etc., declare the identity of partless Brahman with Jiva, who appears as such from the standpoint of the theory of limitation. I never heard about that, the theory of limitation. Very, very interesting. I'm curious to see what Swamiji is going to say about that. But it does not agree with the other two views. So such Vedantic statements, I am that limitless Brahman, declare the identity of partless, limitless Brahman with the Jiva. There is something there that is the same. The Jiva appears to be appears as made out of parts. It's a configuration. But fundamentally, it is limitless, partless Brahman. And from the standpoint of the Jiva, it appears to be made of parts. I have ears, nose, and skin, and all these things. But from the standpoint of the theory of limitation, the Jiva appears to be made out of parts. Okay, but the Jiva does, but it does not agree with the other two views of the Jiva. Okay, Paramartika Jeeva does not agree with the other two visions of the Jivas under the spell of Maya, meaning to say a Jiva without self-knowledge experience the awakened state and the dream state. So as a Vyavaharika Jiva, it does not agree with this theory of limitation, which is imposed by mind on the Jiva in the awakened state and the Jiva in the dream state. It should be more or less on those lines. You guys feel free to comment and help me out. I am limitless original consciousness, and when the mind comes and the reflection is formed, that reflection is a limited temporary entity. If the mind is not present, the reflection will be absent. So the mind here is referring to the subtle body. Okay, I am a limitless consciousness, and when the mind comes, when the subtle body develops enough sattva guna to produce a certain state, meaning to say the awakened states. I am a limitless original consciousness. When the subtle body, develops more sattva, and the reflection is formed, and there we have the Jiva Atma. That reflection is going to be limited. It's going to be a limited temporary entity, both the one in the awakened state and the one in the dream state. The dream state is a little bit like pointless to analyze because it does not give us much potential for growth, development. It's just an expression of what we did in the awakened state. If the mind is not present, if the subtle body is not present, or if subtle body has its sattva guna suppressed, such as in the deep sleep, if the subtle body is there, but not sattva to produce the aham, the reflection will appear to be absent. But the original consciousness, I am always there. So this is important to know. Consciousness is there, and then the development of the three energies come into play. The three gunas are the building blocks of everything, including our body-mind complex, and it's there, okay, in different proportions. Even the physical body sometimes feels more tamasic, rajasic. Of course, the pranas are there having more influence on the three gunas. The physical body is basically tamoguna, but it's being operated by the pranas and by the mind, and the mind needs to develop more sattva guna. So we see this play when the subtle body, which is always there in the case of the human jivatma, when it comes with certain configuration or proportions of sattva, there is the aham in the awakened state. These are aham in the awakened state is the Pratibasika or Vyavaharika Jiva. So if the subtle body is not available for reflection, let's say, the reflection is not going to be there, but the original I is always there. The Pratibasika Jiva is always there. The original consciousness cannot be seen, just as our original face cannot be seen without a mirror. So the original consciousness is not available for as an experiencing agent, and it's not available for being objectified by any human beings. So it's not available for objectification, and it's not available as an experiencing entity. Okay, in the same way, our face cannot be seen by our eyes without a mirror. Of course, the mirror in this case is a mirror that reflects consciousness to appear as human consciousness. Okay, the Vyavaharika Jiva, that with the potential, with the full potential to understand its nature as Pratibasika Jeeva, or as Paramartika Jeeva. Sometimes it's confusing. So the original face cannot be seen, okay? But of course, we can see our original face. We can see our original face. How we see our original? We see our reflect face, which is the mind, which is the aham, the ego. We see every time the reflecting medium is in a certain condition to produce the aham. We see, we see it through this reflection, this reflecting medium called the subtle body, okay, under certain circumstances. But there is another reflecting medium, which is not really a physical, energetic. It is pure knowledge, pure sattva. The teachings of Vedanta, the teachings of Upanishad, is the mirror that allows us to see our true Paramartika Jeeva appearing as Vyavaharika Jeeva. So the teachings of Vedanta are such as another reflecting, another mirror that's going to reflect back to all of us our true face. Okay, so using the analogy, I cannot see my real face. I cannot see my face. So I can see when I come into the awakened states, because then I say, oh, here I am again. Okay, but then when I start wanting to know what is my real, absolute true face, and then I need to find another reflecting medium, and this reflecting medium are the teachings of Vedanta. It's a mirror composed by teachings, words, concepts that are going to help us to develop this true vision in regards to what we really are. Oh, Sylvia came back here. She disappeared. Hi, Sylvia. I'm sorry. Only now I saw you trying to come back. I don't know how long you have been in the waiting room. However, the existence of the original consciousness cannot be doubted, just like the existence of the original face cannot be doubted, even though it cannot be seen. I cannot see, but I cannot doubt, because I can infer. If there is a reflection in the mirror, there must be the original face, okay? Even by all the other means, like touching, I can see that there is such a thing as face, because I can touch the face of a cloud, touch my face and say, this is a face as well. Now, I also have a face. There are other ways to have this kind of knowledge. But how do I know that original consciousness exists? That's the point here, okay? So I have the reflecting medium that's producing the aham. The aham has at its disposal the sense organs and the mind, but the sense organs and the mind cannot really objectify and know or see original consciousness. So how I'm going to know that this OC exists? Since I cannot see my original consciousness, and all the instruments of perception and inference are not going to help us in seeing our original consciousness, the only instrument which can talk about me, the original consciousness, are the Mahavakya Shastra Brahmanan. Okay, the Brahmanas in the final section of the Upanishads talks about my true or see nature. And then it's going to reveal to me my true nature through that which could be said to be a kind of a mirror in analogy with the previous example. So this Mahavakya, such as Tatvamasi, is a revelation of the oneness of the Paramartika Jeeva, which is my infinite nature as Brahman. I am normally not able to accept the Shastric teaching because when I use the word I either take myself as the Pratibasika Jiva or Vyavaharika Jiva. So nicely, beautifully put. So I have a hard time to accept these Shastric revelations, okay? Because every time I refer to myself as I am attached to the notion that I am the awaker, most relevantly. But learning to look at the Mahavakyas from the viewpoint of the Paramartika Jeeva, these Vakyas, the Vakya of oneness, will ring true. Learning to look to these statements from the standpoint of Paramartika Jeeva, you see the beauty and the importance of establishing the three Jivas, because the Jiva is going to get the knowledge only when it stands in Brahman as a Brahman. Only by that, from that perspective, we can see objectively see our Jivas without being attached or identified with this Jiva. Only from the viewpoint of Paramartika Jeeva, these declarations are going to click, okay? They are going to ring as the only reality, the only truth. We need to stand in consciousness so that we can accept these statements. That's the difficulty, because we keep standing as Jiva, as the awaker, and as the awaker, we want these statements to make sense. They do not make sense. How I, as the awaker, identified with my physical body, identified with my mind and with the objects I'm all the time experiencing, how can I realize my free, independent nature as Paramartika Jeeva? I need to stand as Satya to enjoy or to accept or to understand, and then it becomes, it's gonna ring us through. But if I stand as the other two Jivas, these statements, these declarations of the oneness of my nature with Brahman is not going to sound like truth. This oneness with Brahman is not talked about by the Shastra because it does not exist. Okay, for the other two Jiva, this oneness with Brahman is not talked about by the Shastra because it does not exist. To the Jivas, to the Jiva fully identified as the awaker, most importantly, these declarations of oneness in Brahman as Brahman, my free, limitless nature, makes no sense, because for me, it's just non-existent. I'm so attached and identified with my material, physical, energetic level of experience that, I mean, talk about limitlessness, to me, it's like non-existence, no existential. So that's what it means. Paramartika Jeeva is identical with Poornam Brahman. How Vyavaharika Jeeva and Pratibasika Jeeva arose from me, Brahman. So a nice, I would say, philosophical inquiry, So I don't know, Purna is full, limitless Brahman, Purna. So Paramartika Jeeva is limitless Brahman. So, but how Maya came about to produce this Vyavaharika Jeeva and the Pratibasika Jeeva, we see myself. We see myself as Brahman. This is the most intriguing inquiry. Why Brahman? Let's see if Swamiji is going to, give us a hint of how come Maya brought these two entities within myself. Let's see here. That sounds like promising. Maybe we're gonna get this final answer of why Jiva, why Maya and Ishvara brought about this apparent entity. The author has talked about Paramartika Jeeva, I, that is identical with infinite Brahman. The author is now explaining how the Vyavaharika Jiva and the Pratibasika Jiva arise from Brahman, meaning to say how it arose from me in me. Let us imagine a state in which the Vyavaharika and Pratibasika universe, so we have the mental and the physical material universe, are not present, but the non-dual Brahman alone is present. In other words, I, the Paramartika Jiva alone, I am present, but there are no transacting mediums and universe in which I could transact. I, Brahman, one without a sect, the only reality, I am present. I, Brahman, have a special power called Maya Shakti. Now we talk about Maya. Maya, with its Shakti, is going to project this Vyavaharika Satyam, this reality, this physical universe. This Shakti is of twofold. One is the projection power, and the other is the concealing power. Using my projection power, I project a dream upon myself. So I talk about Ishwara's dream or Maya dream, okay? Or Brahman's dream, Paramartika's dream, when consciousness appearing projects the world due to this power of Maya. Using my projection power, Maya Shakti, I project a dream upon myself. What is that dream? This physical body and the physical universe are a dream project by me. Me meaning to say Paramartika Jeeva or Brahman. So I project my physical body and the physical universe within the scope of myself for the sake of what? Experiencing duality, experiencing the project, experiencing a dream. So I don't know where Swamiji goes with all of that, but why Brahman would have a desire to project a field of experience so that it can experience the dream. I identify with the Vyavaharika body, and immediately I become the Vyavaharika Jiva. I, original consciousness, somehow identify with the medium by which I experience the Vyavaharika Satyam, and I feel that I am the Vyavaharika medium, the body, and the Vyavaharika Chidabhaza, which is the reflect, and become the Vyavaharika Jiva. So now I have the body and the mind identified with the body mind, and there we go. I am the Vyavaharika Jiva. How come Brahman brings about this projection, or what would be its motivation? We'll see here how Swamiji unfolds this. Once the dream is entered into, once the identity, once the dream is entered into, the fact that the dream is a dream is forgotten. So it's just presenting statements of fact. Okay. So now we know that once we enter a dream, and now let's shift it to the dream state, to the other Pratibasika Jiva. Once the Pratibasika Jiva is experienced the dream universe, so the fact that that is a dream is forgotten and it appears to be real, right? So likewise, when Maya Shakti projects this Vyavaharika dream, so, and then the Jiva Atma, the Vyavaharika Jiva appears, immediately the fact that it is a projection is forgotten. We all know that everybody forgets it, with rare exceptions. Rare exception. Like that baby that was born there near to Bombay, who came out and then immediately start crying, say, "Oh, not again, not again, not again." So there are exceptions to the rule. But most of us, we are born like fools. I say, oh, look at that. Let me eat the wall. Now let me eat the dirt and anything like that. the dreamer becomes real. The dream is forgotten, and the dreamer and the dream becomes real, very real, appears to be real. A dreamer will never accept the dream as a dream while in the dream. So you tell people in the spiritual world that this is a dream, and nobody gets a clue about what it means to be a dream, these things, you know. So I used to contemplate on those statements that we find in the Neo-Advaita, you know, and I would look at a tree and touch the tree and say, so this tree is a dream. How so? How so? I would hug the tree, you know, try to understand, am I dreaming this tree? Because I did not have the teachings. I did not have the teachings. I could not contextualize and understand the meaning of this is a dream. This is a dream tree. Okay, but who dreamed this tree? You know, it is Maya, Ishvara dreamed this tree. Oh, you know, we can resolve that into a dream of Paramartika. Now, Brahman dreaming through the power called Maya Shakti. And the dream through the dreaming agent. The dream agent in this case is the awaker that sees this universe as real. The dreamer does not know the awaker is its higher nature. And then now shifting to the dream state, the dreamer in the dream state, the so-called dream state, project by Jiva, which is not real. Jiva, Vasanas or Ishvara, it uses another Shakti called Nidra. Shakti projects the world. And then the dreamer there, the Pratibasika Jiva, cannot realize that it's a dreaming world. Likewise, the awaker cannot realize that it's also not real, but it's another sort of dream that is projected by Maya Shakti, you know, through the power of Maya Ishvara. And why that? The dreamer does not know the awaker is his higher nature, okay? The dreamer in the awakened state is the awaker. Now I know I am the awaker. The dreamer now who thinks that he's awake, but he's still tripping. He cannot understand that it is again a dream, and he cannot understand its higher nature as Paramartika Jeeva, as Brahman. Because of what? Because of, again, we have to blame Maya, the concealing power of Maya, which is very intriguing concept, okay? So I, the Paramartika Jeeva, forget my Paramartika status in this world projected by Maya Shakti. And by me, gains a higher degree of reality. So because I forget this order of reality, which is a projection, gains a certain degree as if it was the ultimate reality. I do all this with the help of Maya Shakti. So talking as Brahman, I do this, and then I appears as the Pratibasika Vyavaharika Jiva, and I forget that this is my own dream. And I dream, I do this projection through my Maya Shakti, okay? So I project it, and then I appears as the Jiva in the awake states who forgot that I myself, as Paramartika Jiva, am the one projecting this dream. So I know that I dream during the night, and I have no problem to say that I dreamt, okay? Without much understanding for most people how that dream comes about. But now we know how it comes about. There is a certain power, and this power is under the control of Ishvara, the Nidra Shakti, the so-called. And then there is another power called Maya that projects this illusion, this sense of reality, the physical, material universe. And somehow I have a hard time to wake up from that dream. That's the meaning of the word awakening. You just realize that again is a projection, it's a dream projected by my Ishvara. Fundamentally, it's a dream projected by me. Okay, and then the moment that I become reflect consciousness, I just forget that I am the one producing the dream and experience the dream. and then I feel enclosed in the body mind, and then I suffer the illness of samsara. This is due to what? To the avarana shakti, okay? So we have a problem. Vikshepa is okay, it projects, but then avarana comes. Let's see if he's going to talk about that in the next verse. But we have the other power, okay, which is avarana, which is my power as Pratibasika, as Paramartika Jeeva, okay, which is going to produce, this concealing, this sealing, this of my knowledge in regards to the whole process. Therefore, I, the Paramartika Jiva, forget my Paramartika status in this world, and the world appears to be real. I do all this with the help of Maya Shakti. Shastras teach that experiencing the dream is fine, but understanding that it's only a dream is fundamental. But most of us fail to do that because we refuse to wake up from the dream. Only a waking up will show that the dream was only a dream. So, and we have to understand that there are two levels of dreaming, two levels of awaking. Now, awaking from the real dream produced by our vasanas, and awake from the big dream projected by I, Paramartika Jeeva. Okay, so anything from you? Anything from you, Claudio? I see you're moving your something there.
Yes, I was just put a sign where we,
Okay.
how you say it, noting how we were the
Yeah.
verse.
We begin on the verse 36.
Was signed. 36, yes.
Okay.
No, very interesting for me because
go ahead. Interesting to you?
No. Yeah, it's interesting because understanding, all this difference between. I was reflecting on that in this last period, the exactly difference between original consciousness, reflected consciousness, and as always here it gives a lot of points for reflecting. Very nice.
Yeah, good. The repetition of the teachings is absolutely necessary because slowly we're gonna get the whole picture, clear picture. Okay.
Yeah, and also different names. When he gives different names, is also useful, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okie dokie. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my friends. Namaste. We meet again soon. Soon will be next Monday. Okay. Thank you for showing up, Mark. You are most welcome. And see you next time, Ishvara willing, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alinda. Bye now.
Thank you.